Council Committee of the Whole meeting for the City of Highland Park, Illinois, November 10th, 2025. Gita, the city manager's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Thank you for choosing us to spend it with. We're so appreciative. And quickly, just want to welcome Diane back after the birth of baby Rob.
Yes.
And congrats to you and to your husband, and much joy and delight and a little bit of sleep at some point. So welcome back. We're delighted that you're back. Congrats. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held October 20th, 2025? Oh, we should do roll call. That's true. All right. Thanks, Ashley. Thanks for keeping me on task.
Councilmember Center.
Present.
Councilmember Brockman.
Here.
Councilmember Ross.
Here.
Councilmember Tapia.
Right.
Councilmember Littleworth.
Here.
Councilmember Bloomberg.
Here.
Mayor Roder.
Here, we do have a quorum. Thank you. Now I'm seeking a motion to approve the minutes of the October 20th, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
Second. Any comments, questions, amendments? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Minutes are approved. Under scheduled business, we have two items. The first one is 2026 city-sponsored events. And I want to be clear, and I think Gita may get to this as well. This is simply to discuss the events, not the location of the events, just the events. Music, food, attendance, the usual sort of metrics. So take it away.
Great, thank you, Mayor, council members. So again, just like to recognize Diane Larson, our marketing coordinator, and Aaron Jason, assistant city manager. So included in the packet is a staff report pertaining to this topic. This is a follow-up from the September 25th Committee of the Whole agenda when we first presented the proposal for the slate of 2026 events. So this evening, what we're going to do is just provide a very high-level overview of the information that we presented at the last meeting. So just an overview of the first 3 bullet points that you see there. And then the policy feedback that we were requesting this evening is for city-produced events, the World Music Fest, as well as Oktoberfest, and our recommendations pertaining to those 2 types of initiatives. And then you can see under the last bullet point, major events organized by third parties, and whether or not the city should consider funding those or organizing, or otherwise organizing and supporting those. As it pertains to next steps, so we are seeking your feedback on some of these policy discussions because they do impact our budget, and coordinating and organizing these events started several months ago. So we have an RFP, for example, on the street right now, request for proposal, seeking consultant services to help administer events that we coordinate in both the Ravinia District and Downtown District. And so we do work with our consultants as well as partner organizations, business community, and residents in coordinating and administering these events. And so we are moving forward at this time. In terms of 2026 and the first quarter, we are going to be coming back to the City Council at a Committee of the Whole meeting to talk specifically about Port Clinton, looking at future investment, and specifically as it pertains to the place of remembrance. Your policy feedback is going to help inform our consultant, who you've given us authorization to enter into a contract with, and as part of their endeavor of seeking public feedback and specifically communications from victims, we want to make sure that we've got your policy feedback to help drive that process as we move forward. So that meeting will be scheduled early in the first quarter of next year. So for right now, I'll turn it over to Aaron and Diane. Thanks.
Great. Okay, so we're gonna just take a look at the screen here. We've got an overview of events from 2023, 2024, and 2025. You can see what our attendance trends have been. We are happy to follow up with any questions that you may have regarding attendance, why the numbers may have increased or decreased. We're happy to answer those via email or at the end. But this is just an overview of these last 3 years worth of events.
Can you go back? I'm sorry, I just wasn't done. One more second. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
So we want to do a quick recap of the event, Stews and Brews. We had not had this event when we last came before our council. So really quickly, Stews and Brews is a unique event. It is a Spotlight event. It highlights our local restaurants. It allows them to create a special menu item, and they participate in a contest. There's not a lot of other competing events that match this event's description in the Chicago metro area, unlike other events like Oktoberfest or Pumpkin Fest, where there are several competing events in the area. We had a good attendance this year, 1.2 thousand, for a 4-hour event that is on track with past years. Our plans for 2026, and we'll go into this more detail a little bit later on in the presentation, but briefly, we'd like to extend our hours from 4 hours to 6 hours. We'd like to invest in additional heat towers and fire pits. We'd like to include more intergenerational programming. We'll discuss the potential we have to license and set up live streams for major sporting events if they happen to occur at the same time as Stews and Brews again this year. And we want to ensure that vendors are in fact offering a stew option. So quickly, we're gonna go through, these are the next slides that we're gonna talk about our approach for 2026, including diverse music lineup, arts integration, intergenerational programming, and site enhancements. So the next 3 slides are gonna be a recap of what our entertainment was for 2025. So you can see these are the different types of, this is a highlight reel kind of, if you will, of our diverse music we had from 2025. We had a lot of Latin influenced music. We also had some reggae and some Chicago blues. This was our multi-generational approach to 2025. You can see we had 60s, 70s, 80s. We had previous slide, there was 90s. We had music that would appeal to young children and their families, vocal jazz, dueling pianos, yacht rock. So we try to broach a wide range of age groups with these acts. And lastly, we did integrate local performers into our 2025 event series. You can see Uptime Music Theater, Highland Park Players, and local Steve Kessler, his Saturday June band. So our plan for 2026, and we'll again go into this in greater detail, we want to continue to seek out high quality performers that represent a diverse array of genres with broad appeal. We want to continue to platform local performers and arts groups, and we would like to apply a world music theme to the Downtown Concerts series.
And real quick, before Diane goes on to arts integration, I just want to point out in relation to diverse music lineup, Gita mentioned, or City Manager Newkirk mentioned, that we're out for RFP. It's not just for event management, it's also for music management. So that is for both the Ravinia District and downtown events. Those are out active RFPs right now.
So for 2026, we want to continue integrating some of our local partners into events, for example, the Art Center. We'd also like to invite the library and the Park District. They would be doing things like programming in the plaza. The Art Center is really great, especially at the Vintage Car Show. They do the little car painting activity with the kids. We want to continue to invite participation from local performing arts groups. One thing of note for 2026, it is Bitterjester Music Festival's 20th anniversary, and we would like to invite them to participate in the Taste of Highland Park specifically to program that transitional 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. hour. One thing new for 2026 as well, we have worked with Amanda, our communications manager, Bennett, has worked with the Cultural Arts Advisory Group, and they are supportive of us integrating a Capture the Heart of Highland Park photography installation at Port Clinton Square during the week prior to the Taste of Highland Park and concluding at the Taste. Intergenerational programming, so this is programming that is going to appeal to a wide range of audience ages. So Taste of Highland Park, we want to extend Saturday hours. Friday would still be 5 to 10. Saturday we'd like to extend on the front end, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. And those hours of 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., we would populate that with children and family-focused entertainment. Again, we'd invite Bitterjester to program the 5 to 6 p.m. transitional hour. Vendors do have the option, or will be given the option, to open either at 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. There are some vendors who don't want to be open the entire day. Some of them only want to be open for that more adult-centered portion of the Taste. And again, engaging our local community partners. Same thing here for downtown concerts at Port Clinton, Vintage Car Show, same thing, and Stews and Brews, again, extending those hours. And we would also like to invest in additional fire pits and explore the possibility of adding a s'more station, for those kids who don't necessarily want to have the more adventurous stews on offer from our local restaurants.
Or if you're a 47-year-old kid who likes to snore.
That's true.
What are the hours for the vintage car show?
Vintage car show, to be determined for 2026. This past year it was 12 to 4. That's when our exhibitors were available, but we are open to amending those hours for 2026. Site enhancement, as budget allows, we'd like to add a large festival tent to the Taste of Highland Park, similar to what we had at Stews and Brews. Incorporate Misters fans and additional shade structures to help keep that area cool. Reconfiguration of the plaza. And the same thing here with what we talked about for Stews and Brews. If there happens to be a major sporting event overlapping with the Taste of Highland Park, researching the potential to live stream those sporting events. Vintage car show, we want to discuss or we want to explore the possibility of not only utilizing the entirety of the St. John's lot, but we would like to close down Central Avenue between Central and Park to increase that. St. John's, I'm sorry, excuse me, yes. St. John's between Central and Park Avenue to increase that event footprint. That is something that we have heard consistently from our exhibitors. That would allow for more exhibitors and additional seating, stage structures, etc. And we've talked about what we want to do for Stews and Brews. So this is more just to save the date. You all know, hopefully, about our enhanced holiday lighting this year on the 22nd. We are bringing in an enhanced holiday display. It will be installed this coming Friday, the 14th. We've got an upgraded tree and menorah display, and we've also got 2 photo vignettes. You can see one up there, the little reindeer. There's a reindeer family. There's 4 of those little guys going into Port Clinton, and there's also a large collage photo frame. We're having more entertainment this year, including the Highland Park High School Choir. DJ Julian's going to MC the event. The fire department is going to escort Hanukkah Harry and Santa to their meet and greet and photo stations. We've got free popcorn and cocoa, 2 face painters. Anna and Elsa from Frozen will be there, and we've got a giant snow globe photo station. So we've come to the part where we're requesting feedback. So I'm going to talk to you about World Music Fest and Oktoberfest, and then Erin will talk to you about these third parties. So World Music Fest, we're not budgeted for it. It was last held in 2023, and our recommendation is instead of holding this as an additional standalone event, we would like to incorporate elements of world music into existing events, specifically into the downtown concerts. We'd like to theme those concerts around world music. So a recap for you, you can read up here from 2023 how many visitors we had. Overall, we had positive feedback on the event. However, people did note that they felt there wasn't enough time for each performer and that the set lacked cohesion and that visitors only attended for one particular group and then left. Our recommendation is to theme the entirety of that downtown concert series at Port Clinton around world music and food with a different genre each week, which gives each performer ample time to shine, and it spotlights a Highland Park restaurant on an individual basis. So examples of this would be, we do a Bollywood night with Indus, or we do a Ukrainian/Eastern European night with Cafe Dhaka. We have multiple Latin-themed restaurants. We could do multiple Latino nights, like a Tejano night, or a tango night, or merengue and salsa to get people out there and dancing.
Klezmer, once upon.
Yes, we did. We are. Yes, we absolutely, we could definitely involve Klezmer, and we've got Once Upon a Bagel, or we've got the new Ami coming in, Shavitz, Mizrahi Market, so there's tons of different options there.
Sorry, I had to do it.
And then lastly, Oktoberfest. Currently there is $20,000 budgeted in the draft budget as a sponsorship. The event producers from 2025 are not interested in co-producing for 2026. Staff does not recommend reverting this event back to a city-produced event. However, if that is council's recommendation that we do revert back to a city-sponsored event or city-produced event, we recommend it be held in the Ravidia district. So here's a recap of last year. It was a one-day event. It was a 12-hour event held at Jens Jensen Park and Dean Avenue. We had about 2,000 people over 12 hours. And you can see our previous city-produced events at the lot. In 2024, it cost us $45,700, and we had $1,500 over 10 hours. Then just more information on Oktoberfest. Up at the top, you can see the estimated costs for each location if we were to host Oktoberfest. And these numbers don't include city staff or event management costs. So again, staff does not recommend Oktoberfest reverting back to a city-produced event due to staff time and budget constraints. However, if council would like us to bring it back, we will bring back a wonderful event. We'll make it work, it will be fantastic, but we do recommend having that at Jens Jensen. It provides adequate space, and it doesn't require as much infrastructure to be brought in. So then to present Oktoberfest as a city-produced event, we would need an additional $20,000 allocated for the event within the budget. And I will turn it over to Erin.
Great, Mayor, did you want us to pause and talk about those two considerations before we go to the next, or?
What's most helpful to you? I think it might make sense to start with those two. Great presentation, Diane, thank you. Okay, so I just want to make sure we don't get bogged down and miss the second half, so.
Well, then we can keep going. I'm happy to keep going unless you want to just.
What do you guys want to do? You guys okay, keep going?
Keep going.
Keep
Yeah,
going,
keep going.
okay.
Great, then next up is Port Clinton Art Festival. We started talking about this at the last meeting on September 25th. These two are kind of interchangeable. Port Clinton and Arts on Sheridan, both run by Amber Productions. We're seeking the same recommendation for both of these events. One is, as you know, on the footprint on Central, First, Second, all the way through the west side of the tracks. Arts on Sheridan is on the east side of the tracks, on Sheridan Road. Port Clinton Art Festival is a two-day juried event. They receive over 17,000 visitors annually, pretty exciting. We have not done a previous sponsorship for them. Their costs have risen. One of their concerns is the increased security that we require now and increased infrastructure that we require in regards to barricades and things of that nature. For Arts on Sheridan, they did just bring this back last year, but it is a two-day art festival. They got about 4,000 in 2025. Again, same thing, they're looking for that $20,000 scholarship or sponsorship. We've talked to Amy Amter, and she is amicable if council is willing to do like an up to $20,000 in-kind expenses. That's what staff would recommend for both of these, waiving vendor fees and offering in-house assistance as we can with providing barricades. We utilize most of the we bought, I think, 52 more water barricades this summer, and we use them all. So we might not have the additional barricades, but we may be able to provide water service or something along those lines and assist in that way for them to help save dollars. So that's those two events, Port Clinton Art Festival and Arts on Sheridan. And then the third is the Randolph Street Market Highland Park Shindig. So this is the vintage shindig. It was held in Highland Park the last 2 years, most recently on September 13th and 14th. This year it was held at the Art Center and Community House combined, as well as the outside areas of those facilities. This is a paid ticketed event, which is different than anything else that we sponsor or produce. This year the event cost was $12 per person. They do have an outstanding invoice for vendor payments to us for this year. But they have said to us, it's expensive to put on this event. And we went back and forth kind of what their expenditures were, but we recommend if we do want to look at keeping this in the community and highlighting this event, especially because we do have so many vintage vendors within Highland Park, it is nice for our business community, that we support them with in-kind support through the use of the moraine and potentially fee waivers in the future. So to help offset entry costs. And the fee waivers, we're looking at this as more like the fee waivers of the moraine for the city, not necessarily vendor fees. I did meet with the team last week, myself and Parker Ford, met with them at the moraine. We toured the moraine space, upstairs, downstairs, outside. They were really interested in partnering with us. They understand that they would have to use Catering by Michaels for any of their concessions, vending, etc. So what they would do is put together an actual formal ask from us. What I'm asking council tonight is, can we entertain that ask? Are you interested in partnering with them? And then staff would work out with them, with the city manager, in terms of if they do have a door cost. They said to us, we'd be willing to split that with you. And maybe that's something that goes into like the art restoration fund or something along those lines that we can discuss at a later date with you. But we, again, are looking for your feedback on in-kind sponsorships to these three events. So I'll go back to all of them. Mayor, that's our whole presentation.
That was amazing, okay.
So that's all the questions.
If you don't mind, I'm just going to lead off with just some comments. Thank you again for good presentations. Thanks for highlighting the stews not having a lot of stew. I thought that was like an issue for a lot of people on social media, and love the s'mores. And the comment that I saw also was same restaurants, same food, what makes the stews and brews? So I don't know. I can't remember what your numbers were from prior years or the first year, if we had more stew and if that was a good thing and if people liked it more, but I guess I should have started with an overarching, we do these events for a couple of reasons, vibrancy and to support our business district. So I think we should have this conversation with those two goals in mind. Well, it looks like more people came to Stu's. No, that's Taste. Hold on. Stu's is down below.
Stu's was even with last year, Mayor, but
Yeah.
as you know, it was also Cubs in the
Playoffs,
pennant
yeah.
race.
And
And
homecoming.
Oh,
Okay. I think at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, how much money are we spending for how many people to get together? Is this achieving our goal of vibrancy? And more importantly, is this achieving our goal of bringing people into the downtown? So I just sort of, that's like my macro. Oktoberfest, with all due respect to our dear friends, I thought that was like the worst event I've ever been to, and I'm sorry to say that. It seemed very non-Oktoberfesty. It was more just like tents with guys selling beer and I don't know what else was happening there. I found it to be depressing, and I don't know if it's because we had given them money that I was depressed, but it just really irked me and felt like, A, this is not unique. There are Oktoberfests all over the place. B, it wasn't vibrant. It didn't really bring a whole lot of, I won't go into much more detail than that. You got the gist. So I am not in favor of continuing with Oktoberfest, only because I don't think it's unique and I don't think it's worth the money. And if we do continue with Oktoberfest, because I suspect that's going to be the majority's opinion, I'm happy to help us plan that, because I've been dragged to enough of these things that I can say there's more that we could do. This really wasn't it. So, all right, so that's that. I love the idea of the arts integration and bringing families together. Obviously, that's to the vibrancy piece, but also to our downtown. And I think that is something that we've heard from several of our council colleagues, that there's just not enough for families with kids to feel like they are included in these things.
So you support the donation, the in-kind contribution,
Of what? To where?
the arts?
Yes. I think so. In the past, I remember maybe before anybody was at this table, Amy did ask for contributions.
yes, she did.
And I can't remember, I think every year Carolyn was like holding her off, or maybe a few times we gave her contributions because she put her cake, whatever it is. So I think we just need to kind of come up with one way or the other what we're doing and
I
why.
think I don't know if it evolved, whether it was a straightforward contribution to her, the ticket, but at one point, the Art Center was collecting a donation
Right.
as people.
That was
I know
1
it
year, because it was, I
just
remember,
1
it
year.
was
Okay,
5-year
but there
cover
were
charge, and it
different
was for
forms,
security. I don't know what
yeah.
happened with that.
But you're right, several years ago, the city used to give, I think, upwards of $40,000, as did many other municipalities.
So that's gonna be my next question, was, she does these things every single weekend. Do some municipalities give her money and some don't? Yes.
I can speak to that, Mayor. So some municipalities recruited her to put on an art show.
Uh-huh.
So that's different, right? This is her hometown, she wanted to do it here.
Right,
This is
and
her,
has.
this is her original event.
Right.
Glencoe gives them 40 barricades. Wilmette, Amber charges them a fee for the event. They're one that recruited them. So they pay them $15,023, little over $18,000 in 25. Deerfield is charged $12,000. Again, a community that recruited them to have a festival there. They also give them event barricades. Northbrook gives 20 barricades and allows parking in the metro lots overnight at no charge. We already do let their vendors
Right.
park at no charge. And then Evanston, which is arguably the closest to Port Clinton in terms of size and attendance.
Mhm.
They give nothing in kind, no dollars are provided. They charge for barricades, they charge for staff time for public works, police and paramedics. They also charge permits for food, liquor, and event and tents. They do provide refuse removal and parking spaces. Well, actually, they charge for parking spaces. In 2025 alone, it was $5,800 for the parking spaces.
Interesting.
So,
Can I just tell you that the Northbrook numbers are on this agenda for tomorrow night
Uh-huh.
for discussion, so don't rely completely on them.
Okay. I understand she's our homegrown gal and has brought a lot to the community, but more to the point, she achieves the goals, right? Like 17,000 people in 2 days, brings the vibrancy, supports our businesses. I think that's a win all the way along. I'd be inclined to give her the in-kind stuff and not charge stuff, but I also don't know that we should be sending more money her way. The Randolph Market Vintage Shindig, I know people like this. To me, it doesn't really achieve either of our goals in terms of bringing vibrancy or helping the downtown, especially if we're putting it at the Moraine. Previously, we had some sort of like vintage thing at the Moraine, and you know, people liked it. But again, giving money to somebody to make money that's not giving it back to the community, to me, who's not achieving our goals, that doesn't really work for me. So those are just my opinions. Let's go around the table if anybody wants to say something.
Mayor, before you were on the table, can I add one thing
Yeah.
on Shindig? They do plan to do a trolley or bus service from the metro station, from the CBD to the Moraine, with the idea of also promoting shopping in the CBD, shopping and dining in the CBD. So I just want to clarify that. I did not say that out loud, and I should have earlier.
That's
So
okay.
I wanted to clarify
But
that.
you thought it.
And it's also not us giving its in-kind use of the Moraine. There would still be a charge for them with catering by Michaels. They'd still have to contract with them for, you know, staff to be in place and whatnot on that day,
Right.
cleaning, et cetera.
Right,
So,
okay. But she owes us money, so I already am not too keen on the whole situation. Okay, Councilmember Bloomberg.
Thank you. Just briefly, I won't speak to everything. I had been opposed to the arrangements made for Oktoberfest last year, and I haven't really changed my feelings about that, the reasons for that. But I also want to note, we gave them more money than they actually were interested in our, yes. We agreed to give them an amount of money that was more than they were willing to settle for. That is absolutely correct. There were
Was it that
discuss-
they wanted 10 and we gave them 15?
Was
Yes.
the staff recommendation.
The staff recommendation was to
Right.
give them.
they did ask for
They asked
15,
for
we
15.
recommended 10.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the whole event
So-
was 20.
Either way, they got the amount of money that they thought they could run this with, and it didn't go well. I'm not interested in throwing more money at it. I have one other concern about it. Most of what we're promoting as a municipality are arts-related, event-related, there's music, and I think that's great. Oktoberfest focuses on drinking. That's really the thrust of what Oktoberfest tends to be about, whether it's in Highland Park or in Germany or anywhere else. And while to quote a famous Supreme Court justice, I like beer, I don't really want a festival in Highland Park revolving around
celebrating
that.
beer.
Yeah, it doesn't do it for me. With regard to Amy Ander, I think she does a great job. I think she obviously does a great job by the numbers. And I'm very interested in supporting the arts, but that's not, for me, quite what that means. This is a commercial enterprise. She's very successful at it for good reason. She does a great job with it. I understand some municipalities are paying for that. Others are charging a vast amount for that. We supply a lot of infrastructure for this to be a very big art festival, and it's been very successful. So my inclination is to sort of stick with what we've got. My feeling about supporting the arts has to do with finding resident theaters, resident music groups, things of that nature. We had Apple Tree Theater at one time. I think the city at one point cut back contributing to that or supporting that. I feel very differently about that. I do agree with having these events in Highland Park. I am comfortable with that. This does not fall under my opposition to the city helping with commercial events. These are city events, and I think they're important to have with those limitations that I've expressed.
Thanks. Councilmember Brockman.
Thank you. So I'll start with my comment on Stews and Brews. I thought that it was a fun event, but I do think that, you know, the Cubs game definitely affected a lot of people from showing up. I do like the ideas though of the s'mores and more family friendly if we do it again. I think that would definitely bring out more kids and families, especially if you started earlier in the day. So I would be in favor of that, maybe just change it up, add, you know, whether it's like a magician or other like family-friendly type of things for the kids to see. Because, right, it did seem more geared towards the adults, and, yes, I brought my kids with, but they just wanted to watch the Cubs game, that night, so, and then that also goes with, the Port Clinton infrastructure, the urban play space, and what we envision for the future too, to bring up, more families. As for the World Music Fest, I think that's a great idea to integrate it on the Friday night, the Friday concert series with, with restaurants, that go in line with the music. Oktoberfest, I was there as well. I thought it was also a rainy day, I remember, so that didn't help matters. And so I guess my question is that, so the co-sponsors, they didn't want to do it again at all?
It's not that they don't want there to be an Oktoberfest, they don't wish to produce it together.
Okay. So in that.
Both still want an Oktoberfest. Both
But
don't
not-
want
Neither
to
wants to
do it
work
solo,
with the
have to
other.
do it.
And they
Okay.
don't want to work together again.
Okay, so I would have said if it was where it was and we were giving the 20,000, again, I would have been in favor of continuing it where it is. I don't know necessarily to add it on as another city-sponsored event. I think Stews and Brews does that with the fall events. So as for the Arts on Sheridan Portland Art Festival, another question on that. So if we give her, Amy, the barricades and other in kind already, is that correct?
No,
we
not.
don't. Okay.
We only give like parking for
Parking for,
vendors.
okay, so if we did that, I would be in favor of if we're giving her, just the barricades and helping in that way, because she does do so much for Highland Park and brings out a ton of people, so.
So are you comfortable up
and
to
I'm
20,000?
Up to 20,000, yes, I'm comfortable with that. And the Randolph.
Barricades, do barricades cost $20?
Yeah, what are the
No.
barricades? Yeah, what are the barricades?
So,
Yeah.
this is what I was mentioning,
Yeah.
vendor permits is the biggest place where we'd be able to help her, and can you remind me how much the vendor fees are? It's
$60. It's $14.5 for her, for the Portland Art Festival. It's about
14,500, yeah,
Oh,
not
the other one
1,400,
is
14,000, so she pays over 14,000 in vendor permit fees.
Okay.
Right.
Well, they pay,
It is a
that.
pass-through expense, but she is looking at it as, she will still collect that, she will, because right now, she doesn't say to them, this $60 is for the permit that you need from the city. She does it as, this is your entry fee, so she's not changing her entry fee for the vendors who have already been participating, she's just not passing on that $60 to us, and she can use that 14,000 plus towards additional infrastructure or security that she needs. Because we will not have enough barricades in-house to provide them all for her. I can't tell you a set expenditure of like what the barricades cost, I'd have to work it out, but it's more of a timeline, and I'm sorry, because I think I have.
What we just felt,
some
I don't mean to
yeah.
interrupt. What we just felt was reasonable is if you're comfortable with the $20,000 value, we'll figure out on the staff end what to use in-house to get to that number. Yeah.
Because it's more like the staff time to put them out and back, and it's quite an extensive.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. So I'm comfortable with up to 20,000 and then you figuring out exactly what it would go to. Yeah, in-kind support.
uh-huh.
And then for the Randolph Vintage Market, I guess my concern with that is I know like, and that's just had, like, there's other types of these vintage markets that are going around in town. So I don't necessarily see helping with that one or having it at the Moraine and not even in the Central Business District or Ravinia. So I'm not necessarily in favor.
Like if she wants to have it, she
Yeah.
can rent the Moraine and do it.
Yeah,
I don't think we
that's-
need to give her tax
to give her
dollars.
right, yes. So
I don't know.
that's where I'm at with everything. So
Thanks.
thank you.
Councilmember Livermore.
So first of all, I have to say, I'm really sorry. I don't know where I left my list in the car of all my notes. So I have a few short notes that I put in that I had here, but it's only on the early part. So please pardon me if I'm disorganized tonight. So I'm going to follow your outline because I'll make it easier. World Music Fest. Number one, it's not budgeted. So if there's anything else we want to do, we have to find the money somewhere. So I am not in favor of it being as a standalone event. I do, however, love the idea, and I agree with Councilmember Brockman, of pairing it with the Friday night things. And I think that's logical. It's nice because in Port Clinton, we couldn't have that many vendors anyhow. So if we have 2 or 3 restaurants, because that's their type of music, I love that pairing. So I think that works really well. I also, and I know we're not discussing them tonight, those were kind of sad, okay? They're very nice, people come, There's no way there were 150 people on average at every one of those events. There's no way. I only went to 3, and the 3 that I went to were 50, 70. They were not 150 people at every event. So if we can give it a theme, maybe we can help it, both in terms of music and in terms of food and time to our community. So I think, I love the suggestion by staff of making that the way that this event works. So not as a standalone. Oktoberfest. Well, this isn't gonna surprise anybody, but I think this is a philosophical question for us as a council, in that we decided we want vibrancy to be a major pillar. And so how do we define that vibrancy? And to me, it's twofold, and that's why location was something I did want to get into, but I understand we'll get into it another time. But dollars, and I really want to thank you guys, because I needed to see numbers, and I still may refer you back to a different slide, because to me it's quantifiable. And this year, to judge the Oktoberfest, I think those two guys pulled us out of, once we decided we wanted to do it as a council, they pulled us out of a hole. And they did it with very little time. They had horrible weather, and I was not at the event, so I can't speak to that point. But I can say that the attendance numbers, even with the bad weather, still bear out the fact that there were a lot of people there. And what I've heard from the community, and they tried that, what was it, like a rib off or something?
Yeah.
In any event, I think they came up with a lot of ideas. I do want to be clear, and I'm glad you clarified that they don't want to work together, but they both are very interested in doing this event. I would like to see the city do the event with one of them, and I think that that is the way to do it. I don't know how this got dropped.
We voted to drop it last time. We voted not to spend the money on it.
Yeah, we voted not to spend the money. And
Yeah,
I
and then we ended
think-
up spending the money on it, and it was,
Well, we didn't
15
spend as much as we do on our major events that are downtown.
right.
And I think that in keeping with vibrancy, when you have an event that even on last minute's notice, terrible weather and being thrown together, still had over 1,000 people, I think, 2,000? I think that
No, it
it's
was 1,000,
1.2.
It was 2,000 over 12 hours.
2,000 over
October.
12?
Yes, it was.
I thought it was
And the middle 4 hours were the rain, and it was really bad. So I think when you have those kind of numbers, I don't want to give up that event. So one overarching comment I do have, which is I think whenever we're having an event, whether it's 12 to 4, 3 to 5, once we've done the setup, not to take advantage of having that setup there and doing an evening event is just plain, it doesn't make sense. It's a waste. We've already done the work. We're going to break it down. So let's keep it there and have an evening event. And similarly, I love that you're extending the hours like 3 to 10. I think for some of those events, and not every vendor will want to participate from 12 to 10, but stews and brews are stews. People take their kids there for lunch. Oktoberfest, if it's bratwurst or ribs, they'll take their kids there for lunch and dinner. So why start it at 3? Again, you've got the same cost of setup and breakdown, so why not maximize those costs and spread it out over a longer period? I know there's probably staff time.
So I would say it's not our staff time, it's the vendors and whatnot who are there.
Right.
And if you're coming to our event at noon expecting all the food vendors to be open, we know they will not be.
Right.
That is,
they
we
kind
used
of-
to have a longer event, and
changed
they
themselves.
unequivocally across the board said, please don't do that anymore unless they only sold alcohol.
Unless
So-
they what?
Unless they only sold alcohol,
Uh-huh.
because,
Because they
Because
can't
we'll see
keep up
parents will
with
drink
that much
all
the
food
demand.
over that much time.
and it's
keeping
their
stuff-
staff, they're having a hard time staffing
Having
events.
staff for 2
Okay.
shifts.
And-
and-
I
the
would simply
restaurants.
ask that you still check with them because, and I only checked with the 2 or 3 vendors, and they all said, certainly on the back end, meaning the nighttime, the 6 to 10 hours, but even on the 12 to 3. But I love the fact that at least it's for 3, and so it's early afternoon.
Did you talk to the non-alcohol vendors though?
Um,
Like the beer vendors, I could see would be more than happy to stay there
Right.
for 12 hours. But the food vendors
Right,
are like, this is too long. And I mean, then you have tables with nothing, it's just, oh, it was bad.
Okay, so in any event, that's my comment in terms of longevity and time frame. I also know in speaking to both of them separately from Oktoberfest, they couldn't do it for 20. The fact that they tried to do it for 15, they spent the 35, and that was a Jens Jensen. And this is one of our big events. I don't think we should be looking at it as any different than Stews and Brews. So there are a couple of things I'd like to see some parity with. If we're gonna do a big event, and the budget should be similar, and we have to either find the money or not. So that's number one. And the same thing goes with whatever we end up doing with budgeting or charging the permit fees. I just wanna make sure we're clear across the board for everybody.
Be consistent.
Well, if
Because
you aren't, what we hear you is that you support the city doing it, and if that is the
Yes.
case, yeah, we're estimating $40,000 that we would spend on it.
Okay, and so that's great. So
For
that's where I
Jens
come up
Jensen.
on that one.
At Jens
To host
Jensen,
it at
yeah.
Jens
It would
Jensen.
be about 76,000 to close down Central, and that's only for 4 hours. If we
But
were-
I don't wanna close down Central, period.
Gotcha.
So that is not something that ever enters into my budgeting, and I know that's just my budgeting. And so there are certain places, like you have it, if you have the vintage car thing at the lot, that's why I think it's important to figure out where you're gonna do it, which we'll do at a
Which we
different
will
time.
talk about.
But
Yeah,
for
we would suggest
budgeting,
Ravinia District.
that's one of the reasons, well, I'm open at either venue for Oktoberfest. But I think you'll probably hear about why from others. So in any event, I would say 40,000 would take care of it, it's a Jens Jensen, but anyhow, so that's one. Arts on Sheridan, I do not support the up to 20,000. I agree with Councilmember Blumberg. People are charging for these events, people are making money on these events. I hate to say you gotta pay to play. I think that we make money off of our permitting fees.
Right.
And I think for us to host these events, we have a lot of costs, whether that's police or whatever it is that we're providing. You know, they may bring in a lot and they do a great job. They're making money off of this. And I don't see why we shouldn't have a permitting fee in there. So I am not in favor of it. I was gonna say be in favor of barriers, but I didn't understand it. So I am not in favor of the up to 20. I would love to see some kind of in-kind thing. I don't know what that is. If you told me the barriers cost $5,000, and we do that, I'm in for that, but I'm not up for the 20. You know, whatever we do, I think it's gotta be even. I don't like the idea of the shindig being at the Moraine. I agree with the mayor, it does not go to our main thing. If they wanna do it at the Moraine, God bless, let them rent it out and do it.
And have their own
Right,
event.
but
Yeah.
if we want the
We don't need to
vibrancy in
give them money to-
downtown,
yeah.
and I think that's the thing, for bigger events, I really would like to see us use downtown. And then we use Port Clinton for lovely, smaller events, but that's just where I come from. And I think that hit, Vintage Show, I told you about the hours, Oktoberfest, let me see, all right, 2 days. Oh, that's 2 days, Randolph Shindig, downtown fee, entry fee.
You're keeping track.
If
Thank
we
you.
are sponsoring any of these and there's an entry fee, I don't like the idea of our name being on it if they're charging an entry fee.
I agree.
I think as a city, we provide something to our
Right.
residents.
Right.
If they're charging a fee, then I don't think we can partner with them on that.
Like if you can't
If there's
come
a
into the
$12
Port
fee.
Clinton Art Festival unless you pay money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like the Randolph Street Market charges
Right.
admission.
and they can do that, but then I don't want, I
Then
don't
it's
think it's
not a
right for us to
city-sponsored
be.
event, right.
Exactly.
Okay. Great, thank you. Councilmember Center?
Thank you. I'll go bottom up, just to keep things interesting a little bit. I agree, Mayor, with your comments on Randolph Market as well as yours, Councilman Malone, where I think we're all kind of thinking the same thing around the importance of the location relative to downtown. So I would, I'm on the same page with you guys. On the arts piece, so help me understand the 14.5 vendor fees, right? Which was cited for Port Clinton, right?
Correct.
Assuming Arts on Sheridan is much smaller just because of a lot less
Correct, fewer
actual
vendors.
artists. Okay. That is paid by the artists, right? Go
It's
ahead.
As a
technically,
pass-through theoretically.
the charge is $60 per vendor.
Yep.
So it's not just food vendors, it's also, you know, each artist pays $60 plus their food vendors.
Yep.
For most of our special events, those vendor permits are purchased direct from the vendor to the city for other events. Port Clinton charges it as part of, instead of breaking it down as an additional fee for their vendors, they just say, this is the cost to be in it. Then they provide us all the information we require for the vendor permit, and they cut a check direct to the city.
But if I'm understanding correctly, Amdur is effectively asking for us to reimburse a cost that they're already getting paid for. And then we're just gonna redirect those fees and as an offset to other costs in their P and L.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
That's right.
Literally,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, so, look. I think we all love the event, they're fantastic, to continue to support the arts, she does a great job. I think 20 each is very rich and more than we need to offer.
In kind or cash?
Yes.
'Cause it's
Both, both.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think I'm more in line with Councilmember Lidor of, you know, something more in the line like 5-ish, and some sort of value, understanding,
In kind.
city manager, in kind, thank you, understanding city manager, you guys can kind of figure out what that means. But yeah, that feels like a lot, of foregone revenues to us.
Sure.
Okay. I also agree with Councilmember Lidor on Oktoberfest. I actually think the metrics show that it was a pretty successful event, considering what they faced and the challenges that they faced. So I would be supportive of the city sponsoring that.
Did you go?
I did, for the
Okay.
beginning.
Okay,
I was with my kids, so
Yeah.
they got a little
but you,
fancy.
right.
But I thought it had the infrastructure of what they set up. I thought it was gonna be a good day. Now, obviously, I didn't maybe have a different experience than the mayor, and I wasn't there later on. And, so I can't speak to the rest of the day, but I thought it had a lot.
But you're
of potential.
supportive of
Yeah, I am.
having it. Okay, great.
Okay, and then the world music, Councilmember Tavi, what's your favorite sport?
Football.
Right. I had a thought.
Uh-huh,
It's the World Cup this year.
right.
And when you guys were talking about live streaming sports, we got the World Cup, we don't know if there's a World Music Fest, you said day and night, like, is there a way to do something really cool around the World Cup?
Like in Europe where people gather and
Yes.
scream and watch
Yeah,
soccer.
Yes,
especially if it's
We
on
certainly
Friday
can
night.
investigate it, especially depending on the times of games are, because
yeah. And there's,
So
like,
it's
there's different days.
So it's a little bit
10 a.m.
trickier, yeah.
There's group stages.
10 a.m.
There's Sundays, like, you can figure out what kind of works around the calendar, but I'd love to explore that.
That's great.
It'd be fun.
America 250.
It's part of current programming.
Yes.
America 250 also.
America
Friday
Yes.
night, for Friday night.
What's that?
Great.
America
Thank you.
250.
Councilmember Ross.
My turn. I had a question, but I don't know where it, what peg, what.
Feel free to just go forth and
But,
ask.
but there was a slide where it showed, and I love Bitter Jester, and kudos to him for the Emmys.
Yeah.
He's won, just a massive fan. It is largely rock and rock and roll. Where were we thinking to use him? Because
So we're looking to integrate that into the taste.
Taste,
Their
okay.
preview concerts, like their competition concerts, are the 2
Yeah.
weekends before the taste, and their
Oh,
finale
okay,
is
it
the
was the
weekend
taste.
after.
It was taste.
So it's ideally situated for
that
them to be as
does-
part of the
that is-
taste.
So
I
they
just-
won't have the separate.
I just
meeting?
No, they'll
feel-
still have their separate, I'm
Great.
sorry to clarify, they'll
They'll
still
just
have their
have
separate
something
events.
at
This
the-
is like a teaser to the grand finale the following
Right.
weekend to incorporate them to have an hour kind of in that pass.
Okay, so it would just be like an hour in there.
Right, and we
okay.
talked to Nick DeGrazia, and that works best
Okay,
for his artists
okay.
as well.
I was just blown away by what Noah Plotkin sort of, did with the bands that he brought to Port Clinton Square, the bands he brought to Oktoberfest. I just thought he really knows what he's doing with music. It's just such a great variety and really interesting original music. I really think he's just a great resource that we should be using as much as possible whenever we are using music. There is one on here, so I just want to make that comment about him. And the tree lighting, I know that's not on there, but I beg that we have a better, and I love what you're doing with the tree lighting, the different activities. just a better throne or chair set up for Santa.
We have backdrops, we have seating, we have.
Because it was
We're
like,
on it. Councilmember.
last year was like a plastic chair covered with like red fabric.
There will be
And-
no
and-
plastic
and-
chairs.
Okay, and my husband was like, I'll bring a chair next year. And we are Jewish, but nonetheless. Anyway, World Music Fest. I went to I think all but one of the Portland events, and I think that the ones that didn't have the food vendors did not go as well. I felt like that was lacking. There were people who had, vendors who had signed up, but for one reason or other dropped out. Maybe we can have a better system for that, because it really helps to have food and drink at these things. And I was just, once again, blown away by the talent that performed, whether it was Radio Free Honduras, I bought their CD, or any of the others. There was jazz. It was absolutely beautiful. And I think if we could sort of up it. I don't want to offend with saying, advertise better. I know you try to advertise, but just as much advertising as we can, because there's really Ravinia quality, music that happened last summer. So I just loved those. The Stews and Brews was utterly handicapped by the World Series games and homecoming. That was a double punch. I wrote double punch attendance killer. It was just, and it seemed, pretty avoidable. I mean, we knew when homecoming, we know when homecoming is happening. The World Series games was another issue, obviously, but I think what I heard was a lot of parents weren't there, because of homecoming. And I support doing it again and just trying to coordinate this better. Oktoberfest, I went repeatedly to it, I just kept going back to try to check in at different hours. It absolutely poured. It poured. And I heard that the organizers lost significant money on this.
They did.
I spoke to Noah Plotkin, who brought the music. He had brought, I want to say, 6 incredible acts. I heard some of them, music acts, but they ran for cover. They need better stage and tent. The tent was more like a booth, and the musicians needed to protect their equipment. I feel it was really only an issue because of the rain. And as far as the stage is concerned, I beg that, if it's ADA, accessibility, lower the stage. I mean, just lower the stage, have a shorter, ramp or something to it.
So
I
you
would like
support
to
the city organizing?
I
Is that what
do
I'm
support it.
hearing?
We've
Okay.
only tried it one.
The city organizing or the city funding a third party? Wasn't that?
Were those the odds? I'm in favor of having it,
Uh-huh.
and we've only tried it one year, and the weather was abysmal. And I felt so
No,
sorry.
we had it
Well, they
at
had
the
it
last
I'm sorry,
year.
in Jens Jensen.
Right.
Jens
2
Jensen.
years, I think, at the last.
In Jens Jensen.
Yeah.
And I like the
Well, it's more than
idea
2.
of a vibrancy
Maybe 4.
event happening in the Ravinia Business District. I like the location, I like, all of that. I just think there were so many pieces.
Well, right now we have 2 officials don't support the city funding or organizing. 1 supports the city funding, not organizing, and 2 support the city organizing.
And don't forget, every Thursday, we have vibrancy
Yeah.
in Jens Jensen with the food trucks.
I just support doing it again. I don't feel that doing it once, it was a new thing in terms of new location. Okay, no discussion of location, but I think it's worth trying again. And whatever works to, make it happen, I think I agree with Councilmember Lidauer that funding it appropriately would help, but I think it's worth trying again. And I feel like a lot of people put time, sweat, and effort into that, blood, sweat, and effort, whatever the expression is. I would like to see, since it's, I guess, basically a beer fest, also food, more alcohol purveyors at it.
Right, you're supposed to have
There-
multiple
there-
beer
I would
vendors,
like
not
to
just
see
one.
multiple
Yeah.
alcohol, so that there's a really
Even more, Tony.
choice, sorry about that, Tony. More choices of alcohol, because I thought that was the point of Oktoberfest. Port Clinton Art Festival, trying to get through these. I'm really not a huge fan, and I'm apparently alone in this, of charging vendor fees. I think the problem with the fees is that the fees that we charge at $60 is that the organizers, it's harder for them to attract, vendors when they have to pay a fee. I'm willing to discuss a compromise number on what I hear some of council prepared to spend 20, some don't want to spend that. I feel like we could meet somewhere in the middle.
Although she didn't seem to be lacking anybody, and hasn't
Okay.
for however many years she's
Yeah.
been doing it. It seems like she has
Yeah.
plenty of vendors, so.
Yeah.
I think that's sort
Arts
of
on
typical.
Sheridan is another story. I'm personally not a fan. It doesn't seem very art-centered.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not sure why it's called Arts on Sheridan, and I feel like the Port Clinton Art Festival is just so much
Is
better.
that thing, yeah.
And the Arts on Sheridan feels more like, handbags, candles, that kind of thing.
Who's the
It's
sponsor?
also.
The same.
Anders.
It's also
Anders.
Anders.
And Randolph Street Market.
Well, I'm sorry, Councilmember
Oh,
Ross, I
yeah,
just want to make
sorry.
sure I understand
Yeah.
correctly. So support Port Clinton in kind, we had two elected officials indicate approximately 5,000, so do you want us to put you in that ballpark?
For the in-kind for Port Clinton Art Fest.
I'm willing to go higher than that, maybe 10,000. I mean, I'm open to discussion on that. Can I go to the Randall Street Market?
Sure.
It is fabulous fun, but for sure more of a, I would say, a female-oriented crowd. And I ask, has anyone gone to it other than me? And I know that Annette went. I either saw you there or talked about, I don't know if we ran
I was
into each
in
other.
there all day.
But, with only two, I think it's problematic to weigh in on something you haven't seen in person. That's my view.
I went.
You went. You
Not a
went.
vote.
Thank you, Steve.
Back to
My
the
daughter
sort of
showed up.
overarching
And
vibrancy, economic development.
and I did want to share that, people, it's famous in Chicago. People were thrilled, who know it in Chicago, were thrilled that it was in Highland Park. They didn't have to go downtown for that. I agree about it not being a city-sponsored event and charging for entry. I do agree with that. And I'm sorry that, I would like to see it in Highland Park. I think that it puts us, helps put us on the map. I'm not sure that I've heard any support other than mine for working with them.
I just hope she comes.
Yeah.
I would hope that if we are such a great market, that she would come and we don't
come
necessarily.
regardless?
Yeah, and then we just,
Well,
we
she
don't,
has to make money.
she
or-
can charge people to come.
Yeah.
That's,
And charge people to come on her own. Yeah, I hope that something is possible. I think that without, and I'll say it again, if we're putting events on and we're voting on it, with all due respect to all the hard work that everybody does at this table, I do feel you should show up and see it.
Yeah.
And
I didn't want to spend $12 to look at stuff.
Well,
That was part of
I'm
my
just
thing.
saying, I mean, it was, she might have given you a comp, given that you're mayor, I don't know. But in any event, I don't think $12 it was too heavy a lift just to see it, and
I am just Joe resident
You-
saying I didn't want to
okay.
spend $12 to go see her stuff.
regardless, I just think whether it's Randolph Street Market or anything else we
Mhm.
do, if we're voting on it, we should go and
I
see
agree.
it. and
I agree.
Well, it wasn't our event.
Yeah.
It was not our event, so that, we didn't
But,
give them.
there's lots of stuff that happens in this city that aren't our events. I still think we have some obligation to check it out. And
I agree,
Yeah.
and I do think people do. I'm gonna, because of time, move
Yeah.
on, but thank you for your observations and your
Thank
input. I appreciate it. Councilmember Tapia?
Yeah, just remind me again, Arts in Sheridan, Portland Art Festival, and Randolph Market Vintage Shindig. Which ones charge?
Only the
Randolph.
Randolph
Oh,
Market.
Randall.
Okay,
The wrong.
so that's a clear-cut one for me, it's the ticket pricing, we should not be taxpayer funded, so that's a clear-cut one for me. I feel conflicted about the ones by Amy Amdor, because there's something about a homegrown business and the investment and all that she does around, not only the festival, but just in general.
Right.
And I don't know, I am partial to putting some support. If nothing else, is a tip of the hat to a homegrown business that has been.
Are you in the 5 category or
I'm in
the
the
20
5
category? Okay.
Yeah, so,
In kind or in cash?
in kind,
Thank you.
yeah. And it's more of a symbolic thing. I don't think it's a material thing, but I think it's a recognition.
Okay.
But for it to be material, I think she is running a for-profit business, and, so I think it's just tip of the hat, and thank you, Amy, for all that you do, kind of thing.
Okay.
All right, so, World Music Fest, you heard me last time advocating for that, but I think that the staff's done a really good analysis, and it's deconstructing the World Music Fest from
Right.
Monday to throughout the whole summer, and I
It is
prefer
a
that.
global lens, pun intended.
Yeah, and all summer there'll be a multicultural thing, which I think it's a much better, rather than just putting all your diversity eggs in one basket, you spread them out, right? So I think that's brilliant.
It's a good statement from us.
Yeah, and I know we're gonna talk location another time, but I think that deconstructed that way on the Friday nights, I think that's really good, so.
Great.
I think it's a good move.
Thank you.
The Stews and Brews, I know you'll have it up here, because that's already budgeted for.
Correct.
Okay.
At the
so-
25th, council agreed to the budgeted events we already had, which included students.
These are the remaining
Just
ones,
getting
Right,
rid
but
of
then
couldn't finish them.
We might have a chance to come back to that when we have the location conversation, or?
No, not for 26, we're moving forward as planned, but we'll come back for a larger, longer-term conversation.
About location.
But
Portland.
Oktoberfest, you can weigh in on.
Okay, so the last one left is Oktoberfest. So let me deconstruct this a little bit. Can you show the attendance table? Yeah, so attendance for 2025, and where we have Oktoberfest,
Wow.
you know,
It's 2000.
2,000. So
Yeah.
there was makeshift in some ways because it was last minute. It was not budgeted to the amount that they really needed compared to how much we budgeted for. So for $15,000 and for very little compressed time, and for first time doing it where they did, they still, and with the rain, they still pulled 2,000 people. So if we're gonna go by metrics, right, the experience might have been uneven, different people's experiences might have been, I liked it, I didn't like it. I went on the back end of it, and they had a kick-ass band, and people were dancing and having a really good time. And with all due respect, Councilmember Tony, that,
Close enough.
no, Blumberg, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Tony.
Mr. Tony.
They're all drinking events. I mean, Oktoberfest, yes, the branding is about drinking, but if you look at Stews and Brews, it's food and drink and music. If you go to...
That was not my point. I agree with you. They all include.
No, but there was a point that you put on the table as making the argument to support or not support it, and I think Stews and Brews, or Taste of Highland Park, or Oktoberfest, they all have the same common template. It's food, it's drink, it's music, and it's people. So I don't know, I don't think that disqualifies it as an argument of whether we should have it or not, because it's, I don't want to, quote was, I don't want us to be encouraging a drinking branded event, but they're all drinking branded food event and music. Because that's what's happening, that is the event, that's the design of the event. I don't see how it's any different. And when you go to Oktoberfest, I mean, I don't do much beer. I don't, I'm more of a...
That's not my fault.
No, but my point is, I went to Oktoberfest because it was a fun time, I didn't see it as a drinking event. And there was a lot of kids there, they didn't see it as drinking events. There were a lot of families that went, they didn't see it as a drinking event. I don't think that's a fair way to go at this, as it's a drinking event and the other ones are not. I think it's comparable to the other events, so we should evaluate it on its merits. Is it a good event? At that, and, you know, should we fund it or not? So,
What do you think?
so the other thing about Oktoberfest, and I had to talk a little bit about location because, yeah, because the 2 years we had it here, it was well attended. There was a true beer hall tent, which gave it that
Right.
Oktoberfest feel.
Right.
That was not executed over there because of the surface, you know, the footprint. And basically didn't have the budget to do it. So it didn't really reflect an Oktoberfest feel, which I would advocate for, because I'm in favor of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm acknowledging that it maybe fell short of a fully branded Oktoberfest with the beer hall concept, because that's really important. And over at the lot, we were able to replicate that, and it was a vibe. It was a big stage.
It was a total vibe.
And so that's why I support it. So
Okay.
I support it because of the vibe that we were able to accomplish 2 years in a row. And they had music, they had food, and they had beer, and they had a beer garden, and a beer tent, and all that stuff. And they had really good German-type bands
Right.
that were fun, and it was an event, and you can make it more kid-friendly with other kid-type events,
So
stuff
more
like
money
that.
for Oktoberfest, and you are in support,
Yes, but I want to make clear that there's some challenges of
having it in the
having
venue.
it there at Jens Jensen.
So save that point, and we will talk locations when we talk locations. I'm not kidding. Like, I hear you. I totally appreciate what you're saying.
But I'm
So-
making a distinction about my support for it. Right? I believe we should have it.
Okay.
And then we got to think about how to make sure it elevates and lives up to what
Totally.
it needs to be.
Totally.
But with that in mind, I am supportive of a city-sponsored event as long as we can pull off a branded
Do
event.
it well. Don't do it halfway.
Exactly.
I'm gonna call on Aaron first.
Yeah, I
And then I'll
missed
come
one
back.
piece that was on the, yeah.
So Mayor, I
Okay.
do want to clarify, we are asking for recommendation for location for Oktoberfest for next year. And just to clarify for Councilmember Tapia, we've already looked at what the site plan was done by the private event producers this year. We would do it differently. So we would look at that, bring that
Yeah.
full beer hall event.
So you're
vibe
thinking you
back.
could
We have-
still
we
do
have-
it at Jens Jensen?
Yes, doing what we've done before at Jens Jensen.
But just for cost considerations too, and I am confident in our staff that we will, if you charge us with coordinating an event, it's going to
They'll
be
do a great
exceptional.
job. Yeah.
I would suggest just for cost considerations, especially since this is not budgeted at all, that we look at Jens Jensen from a financial perspective. Also, just from adding additional vibrancy to the Ravinia district was well received. It's well received by people in that area as well.
Okay, since,
You me first, and then I'm gonna come back to you. if that's okay. Yes.
Again, you know, we're semi-discussing location. I'm in favor of expanding and working on Jensen Park. We know we can do food truck Thursdays well there.
Right.
There's no reason why we can't do an
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest well there. And I do like the vibrancy for the Ravinia Business District.
Okay.
But it was there was the Port Clinton piece, and I know the concept is world music, so I don't know that it fits in there, but I kind of like the idea of throwing in you know, if there were some, I don't know if this complicates things, but a Nashville night with barbecue, you know, from a local, you know, vendor. It's
For world, we're part of the world, so
well,
yeah.
we're part of the world. There you go. It would be, you know, it'd be nice to have a Nashville one, just one night.
Great, thank you. Andres?
so since footprint is part of this particular discussion, I do want to put another option that's for consideration. My worry about having it at Jens Jensen, even though I'm supportive of something that would add to the vibrancy of that district, so it's not about that. But why wouldn't we consider closing down Roger Williams for a, you know, Oktoberfest event, to really make it different? Because if we do it at Jens Jensen, it's not gonna be that differentiated from the weekly food trucks Thursdays. It's gonna feel, oh, that's just a food truck Thursday with some German stuff on it, right? But if
Spend
you
a lot
make
more
it
money.
special and you close down the street, like we're considering closing down Central, why not close down Roger
It's
Williams?
a good question, and we have looked at it, and it really comes down for public safety concerns. Roger Williams is the major thoroughfare for emergency vehicles,
Fire department.
which is different than the central business district, which has more options for large emergency service vehicles like fire trucks and engines.
Like to cross the tracks to get to the entire east side of that.
Otherwise, they're running through residential neighborhoods where those streets are.
And
they
I
can't
fully
get-
respect the analysis, but I'm just curious. But during COVID, we did close it, so, but it was still the same safety issues. So
Right, we didn't love it.
we didn't love it, we were.
People
Oh,
were
actually,
really,
it's-
You also
Split.
closed it west of the tracks, not east of the tracks.
right.
So just close it.
So
Just called west of
it
the
was,
tracks.
it was,
That
it
would
was
make a
closed
difference
right in
for
front of
food.
BWB.
Yeah.
Well, what if we just close west of the tracks?
So again, there's an issue with competition between restaurants and claims of favoritism, and that we are doing this to support a particular business. And there's other businesses in the area who are hesitant to say anything, but feel very strongly that they are second-class citizens in comparison. I'll leave it at that.
So what you're saying, the mayor, is that if it was gonna be equitable, we would do east and west, but if we did east and west, then we would have the safety issues.
Yeah,
Is
for
that the
sure,
logic?
for sure.
I've got to throw in here that Evanston this summer did an art festival that I went to. It was, Rotary was part of organizing or something.
So was
but
it right by their
It,
building?
it closed, Doug and I went to it. It was really stunning to see because they closed like 4 major streets
Right.
in Evanston. And
Right.
it
Was it downtown?
downtown. I
Right,
could-
that makes sense, because there's all
Yeah.
kinds of parallel streets there. This
Yeah.
is literally the only artery that goes across the train tracks for this entire district.
Yeah.
I'm with you, chief.
Like, we closed for Port Clinton Art Festival.
Right.
Several
Yeah. But we
streets,
had
but there
parallel
was a
they
way.
closed a lot more than we did.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna call on, yep, chief?
Well, what closing it west of the tracks would then allow us to do is from Station 32, we could go north on Burton, east over the tracks, and then access that entire neighborhood there.
Right,
33 can access from east or the west, and yet we also have the ability to go Highland west, north to, and then north or south on Green Bay, so.
but you're slowing down
it
response
didn't-
time.
It's not ideal,
we don't-
right.
do it.
Closing Roger Williams
I think
is not
we've-
preferred by us, but at the
It's
same time.
doable.
We
I think we have options, and we'll explore those, and I hear what you're saying, that you like having it in a more open area and not as confined
And to
as.
feel special, right? Because
Mhm.
from a branding perspective, if it feels more like another food truck, seriously with a German flavor to it, that's very different than an Oktoberfest that has, so, oh, this one is closing down this part.
City
Yeah,
Hall.
yeah.
And you know, you wanted a differentiated experience.
Councilman Bloomberg.
Although I'm not in favor of the program, the event, I clearly see the image you have in mind. And I'm clearly concerned about several establishments to the east of the tracks that are significant contributors to the Ravinia district.
Right.
I'm gonna throw this out there, and Chief, you're probably gonna be upset with this, or maybe not, but what about the possibility of closing from west of that stop sign, closing Roger Williams, and then closing east from St. John's east?
To Dean.
You would have an open area to move fire trucks in between. The problem, I understand, is that you will still have pedestrians. But I would think that is not too different from what you're facing with other closed street festivals in general.
Which part would
I'm
be
not
open?
asking for an
Okay,
immediate answer.
I'm gonna call
just a thought.
timeout. We're gonna talk locations. We have incredible professionals on our
Yeah.
staff who know how to do this, and we still need to talk about the spring cleanup, and dinner is waiting, so I'm gonna say thank you for this very thoughtful conversation.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Edith's been keeping
summarize,
track?
just to make sure everyone's on the same page. So World Music Fest, supporting the staff recommendation, not a standalone event, incorporate into other programming. We heard everything about World Cup soccer, which I love, and everything else. Oktoberfest, so the majority support for the city to organize, and then we will come back with site and components and everything.
Great.
Arts on Sheridan and the Port Clinton Art Festival. So it looks like the majority support some in kind at 5,000. I heard
Up to
only up to 5,000 in kind. Okay. And then the Randolph Street Vintage Shindig, the majority do not support an in-kind contribution or waiver.
Great, thank you,
Okay.
thank you. Susie, wanted to see sausage making, there's a bratwurst joke in here somewhere, I'm not sure what it is, but thanks for listening and all of that. We're gonna quickly try to talk about the spring cleanup program and get council feedback whether we're gonna continue with the program in 26 or not.
We do have
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so we do have a PowerPoint on this, and I know I've talked one-on-one to elected officials, and I know everyone has read the staff memo.
Yes, you have.
Really, I think what we're looking for is, are you interested in us continuing this program in 26?
So let's
And-
just do feedback around the table.
Correct, because you've read the staff report, although we have some great images.
I was like,
You
please
have
don't
some
be
great
putting
images.
Thanks to ChatGPT, we wanted to identify really what does spring cleanup look like in terms of the amount of garbage generated, and,
That's amazing.
Gita finally got me to use ChatGPT. I was like, please let me use this slide, everyone.
Right, absolutely. The weight of 276 adult elephants. Excellent, thank you.
go ahead.
So, I appreciated the data that you provided, and I almost wonder, like, I am undecided. I personally think we don't need to continue to do it, given that we have the one big bulk item every single week. But I also know from online how people just love this thing, and they just love to pour all their garbage onto their front lawns. The part I don't like is the fly dumping and the friends and family dumping. There's no reason for us to be paying for other people's trash to get picked up.
What was the first thing you said?
Fly dumping.
What's that?
People just go, oh, Highland Park, I'm gonna go dump all my crud on somebody's front lawn because it'll get picked up tomorrow. So that's, it's not that house's stuff, it's just random people's garbage out there. I'm
When
not
we see
sure.
like 15 toilets outside.
Right.
Come on.
Nobody, yeah. So that's, I don't know where I land on it. I know the public likes it, I personally am like, we can communicate better in terms of leaving bulk items out. But the one line that really caught my attention was for basically a month, Highland Park looks like a trash heap. Yes,
I'm in favor of it, keeping it.
keep it,
I'm in favor.
okay,
Keep it.
Really like that.
okay,
Keep it, but I do want to say, if these things are real, I
Yeah.
think that there's nothing wrong with saying to people there'll be a fine if, you're letting
you're
friends
caught-
and
if you're
family
caught
come in.
doing that.
Yeah,
or
but how are
Good
we?
luck with it.
We just
Yeah.
can't prove
Well,
it.
then,
We can't.
then don't. Then I just say, do it, because
Suck
this
it
is
up and
something
just
they
do it.
love.
Yeah, they do love it.
They love
I
it.
say keep it.
I feel conflicted, except that I've come down on the side of not keeping it, partly for the reasons that you've mentioned, but also because it encourages the unnecessary accumulation of garbage in landfills. Among other things, we now have this lovely access on Facebook to the Highland Park
The free
Highway
market?
Free Box, where you could put out a lot of stuff that you would otherwise throw away, and other people use it.
Right.
That, along with the fact that I can put one large item, and large doesn't have to be gigantic, but it can be, I can put one large item out every week and not have to do this. So I really would like to ask everybody to reconsider. I know people like it. When you drive around town, as much as I hate anecdotal evidence, it's impossible to ignore that for 4 weeks, there's massive amounts of garbage on people's front lawns, and a lot of it gets picked up by scrap people. But it doesn't, it's not a contributing valuable thing as a community. It's convenient, I get it, but it's not really good to be dumping this much crap in landfills all at one time.
My favorite free market offering was 2 bags of tortilla chips.
Partly,
I think it's pretty clear that
Yeah.
people want to keep it. So thank you for putting together the great memo, and everybody read it, and now we know what all those
It was a
elephants
great memo.
look like. Okay, so we will do closed after city council. We will grab dinner. May I have a motion to adjourn committee of the whole?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So Susie, we're back at 7:30. Okay.
Where are you?
In there, in the big room.
Nobody.
Thank you.
Oh, it's right here. I have a question.